What's up, YouTube? Dennis, Big Daddy Shipper coming at you. We're doing a travel vlog.
Artlist.io.
Got to heading down to Texas first and gonna pre-fish and really mark some waypoints, get to know the lake on that one, then heading from there to Eufaula, Alabama, and do that for a couple days, and leaving from there, head to Florida and fish in Florida. Right now it's the best weather. One of the tougher places to fish, you see some big bags being caught. They had the first day of the Toyota Super, whatever they call it, yesterday, 26 pounds leading it, but you had a lot of people who zeroed. So it's not as easy as what it looks, that's for sure. But we're just going to start off, tell you a little bit about my day and how it went so far. So I normally drive a Nissan Titan, and the problem is the gas tanks on the trucks are so little. We're talking like 22 gallons, and when you're towing something, I don't care what you're driving, unless you're just driving a diesel, you're not going to get good gas mileage at all. So I'm having to stop every couple hundred miles and fill up, and it was just terrible. So I have a Suburban, so I decided, well, hey, I'm going to try the Suburban, take it on this trip, more comfortable, don't know how it's going to pull the boat and everything else. Well, it's pulling it great. However, as I'm driving, I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot to even check the brake lights and everything else. Pull over, check brake lights. Nothing's working on my trailer. So I go to a certain company that I don't want to mention who they are. Last name Hall. You know what I'm saying. Go there, and they don't want to help me at all, because I guess they don't understand the other hitches that I bought from them and everything else, but they didn't want to help me. Well, you know, you can go to another location and just come back another day. But I will tell you this, I went to Buddy Gregg, which they have them apparently all over the United States. And these guys were just absolutely amazing. They were super nice to me, went out of their way to help me, stopped what they were doing to help. And so they said the connection on my Suburban, the ground wire was broke, so they fixed it. Wasn't even going to charge me for that. But then I had a couple other issues, and anyways, got it fixed. In my opinion, pretty inexpensive for the time that they spent on it. But the biggest thing is they went out of their way to help me and be so nice. And I even commented to the guy, I'm like, man, all of y'all are just so nice around here. And he said, well, that's just what we do. That's just part of who we are. And it's a big Buddy Gregg. It's huge. They had over 100 RVs and campers, fifth wheels. Good thing I don't have a diesel. I'd probably try to go with Dad, because they had this humongous fifth wheel. Oh my gosh, I could just live out of it. Anyways, but they were just super nice, and I just want to give a shout out to them. And if you're out and about anywhere, and you know you run into some trailer problems or anything like that, you know, I don't know that they would fix anything major, but you know, just common stuff that they usually use when they're dealing with their campers and everything else. They went out of the way, really good, not really a bad price for what they did have to charge me for. So I really appreciate them. So anyways, we're back on the road. First time pulling the boat with my Suburban, and it's doing a good job. So I know last time we talked about, you know, where the NPFL, how they put up the first interview they did with me, and I'm telling you what, the people who have reached out and left me private messages and and they were saying, man, you're just such an inspiration. You're such an inspiration. And I'm telling you what, that's really overwhelming. It makes you feel good. And I'm glad that I can be an inspiration to people. But I will tell you what, number one, I could not do this without God. And I'm putting God first on everything. And my little buddy Drew, I got him to read Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. So for those of you all who has not ever taken a chance and read that verse, I could read it to you all, but I would like you to actually you open up your app on your phone, or just Google it, or even open up your Bible and read it. He got back with me last night. He messaged me last night. He's like, man, I read that verse. Wow, that's amazing. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. I did say, hey, I'd like you to read it and everything else. But it basically is talking about, you have not because you ask not. And so many people bring negative things about the Bible, about Christianity. A lot of people's mentalities are, well, if I live this straight and narrow life, if I do this, why is it that I see so many people out there and they're struggling and they're Christians? Let me tell you something. These people are struggling out there, and I'm 100% convinced I could not say this if I hadn't went through this. These people are struggling because they're not asking, because they're not believing that God will open a door. Now, I have seen people, I prayed God, to pay my light bill. What do you think that money's just going to fly out of the sky? No, he's going to open up a door. If you don't have a job, he'll open up a door for you to get that job. Now, let's face it, we may not want to work at McDonald's, but it's better than sleeping in the dark. And the things that we ask for, if we do our due diligence and we ask God for something and we believe that we can receive it, it may take a little while. It may not be on our time, but it's going to be on God's time. But I promise you, He's not going to let you down. Well, a lot of people, I've asked to win the lottery. Well, what would happen to you if you won a lottery? How much would you change if you won a lottery? What kind of person would you be if you won the lottery? Maybe that's why you haven't won a lottery. But have you ever asked that your car be fixed and somehow it got fixed? Or somehow, you were hungry and someone fed you? Well, a lot of people who that's happened to don't think, wait a minute, I just asked God, I'm hungry and I want to eat, and someone fed him. No, maybe you didn't get the groceries that day, but you got fed that day. You was able to go to sleep with a full belly. So the reason why I like that verse so much is because if you read the entire verse, sometimes you got to knock on the door, and so that door can be opened. Like I said in my previous videos, I prayed for 40 years and the door's open. If you see that interview, I said, I don't care if I would love to win it. I can promise you this right now, if I win it, you're going to see a big boy act a fool, because I'm going to be happy. But if I come in last place, and I really don't care, because I'm going to go out there and I'm going to have fun doing it. I am going to let people know why I'm here, because even if I was to get last place, that's better than no place, sitting on my couch and not out there competing. And ever since that I have been a kid, a small kid, 5 years old, 6 years old, I've been a very competitive person. Whether I played football or basketball or baseball or softball or anything else that I've done, I am competitive. I hate to lose. When I've been in sales and someone will outsell me, I tell them good job, but under my breath, I'm so mad, my teeth are gritting because they outdid me. So am I going to be angry if I lose at myself? But I'm going to be happy because I'm that the competitor comes out in me. So, well, Dennis, you come in last place. Yeah, but I'm not sitting on my couch. I'm not saying what if or I wish or if I, because you hear that from everybody, you know, especially when it comes to people watching football. I mean, everybody is the best armchair quarterback there is, but I don't see them going out there coaching even Little League. I don't see them out there trying to get on there's so many high school programs that will allow you to volunteer that will put you as a position coach. I don't see you out there doing that, telling everybody how bad the coach does. Well, get off your end and you go coach. Talk a lot of game, but you don't get out there and you don't do it. And that's the same way. Well, if I was down there fishing, then why don't you do it? Right now is an opportunity. There's so many tournaments out there. You know, I don't care what anybody says. I've played golf. I've played football. I've played basketball. I've played baseball. I traveled, played softball. Everything that I've ever played, this is the toughest sport. And a lot of people says, well, this is not a sport. Okay. Well, I went out there and I practiced. And every day that I practiced, I was wearing my watch, and it says that I burnt over 3,500 calories. And that wasn't in competitive mode. That was in practice mode. But it's going and going and going and going. Now, what's going to happen whenever you're fishing a tournament? You know, G-Man, Gerald Swindle, he said, you know, ESPN said the same thing to him, and they wired him up, and he fished a tournament one day over 6,000 calories. You don't burn 6,000 calories playing golf or football or basketball. They don't burn that. It was blowing their mind. So fishing is a sport, and it's the hardest sport that I've ever competed in, because, you know, I was watching someone about and they were talking about stats and talking about how hard fishing was. You know, Kevin Van Dam, one of the winningest people fishing in history. It's a bad boy. He's the godfather. But if you took his winning percentage and you put him in Major League Baseball, he would never make the team, because it would equal up to like 2% of a batting average. 2%. So you think about that. One of the winningest guys. So that's why the sport is so hard, and then they're making it harder and harder because of all the electronics. I mean, they put it where you can see the fish. If you don't catch them, it's because you're not learning your electronics. That's what I'm trying to do. I've never had the opportunity, and I piece mine together, and, you know, will and deal and do everything I can, and whatever it takes. And so I got my electronics. I'm thank God that I got them. Now I got to learn them. And if I don't learn them, then these guys that have spent the time and learned these things, they're going to kick my rear end, because, you know, back in the day when you had real fishermen, I won't say that, when you had the Bill Dances and the Hank Parkers and the Roland Martins and all them guys, when they didn't even have a unit, and they're going out there and they're fishing and they're catching them. Now we got everything that we fish an area back in the day, and there may be no fish there, so we wasted who knows how long on fishing this area here where there was even any fish. Now you can take your 360, you can take your live scope from Garmin, and you can put it right there and scan it and see if there's any fish. Oh, there's not? Well, then you just go on. So, you know, them, in my opinion, the guys back in the day, Kevin Van Dam started back in the day, you know, them guys, they're flat sticks. But it's also harder to fish today because everybody, you know, the playing field, if you can afford it, the playing field has kind of been equaled out, you know. But you take your people like your Jacob Wheelers and your Scott Martins, and then you take, you know, John Cox. Well, John Cox is a freak. That's just the bottom line. That man, he fished for a long time without even the units. But you got these guys that got these units, and they learn what the barometric pressure is, and, you know, if the wind blows in this way, then you need to fish this way. If the wind blows in the other way, you fish another way. If it's this, if it's that. And they got it down to a science, because this is what these guys done. And so, with these units, it kind of helps with the playing field a little bit. Still got to go out there and catch them. It's just the bottom line, but at least now you know where they are. It helps where they are, and I'm actually either tomorrow, depending on the weather, or the next day, I will do another video on what I'm running this year, what I'm using. I don't have a lot of sponsors right now. I'm really thankful for the sponsor I got. My P line finally came in. Excited to use that, but I need to order a bunch more. But anyways, some of these guys has been at it a long time and has proven themselves and very successful, and they got this. But I was talking, I was hearing Gerald Swindle talk the other day. He's added them units because he's like, he used to talk about them before. Oh, people got all the issues, got their fish, but he, when he went and fished up north, and these guys are just catching them like it's nothing, and he's not doing anything, and it's because he didn't have that. Well, he went and bought that on his own, because I don't think that he has, all three sponsors, and so he had to buy it on his own. So, it's a very interesting topic that a lot of people are talking about. I wanted to put, a little bit of my 2 cents in on it. I mean, if you're able to afford it, I think it's a good idea to go get it if you can afford it. I mean, you got to make things equal as possible, but at the end of the day, that still doesn't stop you from competing and going fishing and do what you got to do. I put this down as a traveling vlog. Also, I guess I need to change some things up and, turning pro on a budget. I don't have an unlimited supply of money. I don't have, unfortunately, I had a business that I owned for a couple of years, and I had to shut it down because of COVID. So, I had to sell some things off and do some things, and hopefully, I'll go out here and do good enough. But now we're doing it on a budget. If it gets to a point, I believe that this door has been opened, that even if I got to figure out a way and I got to turn part of this Suburban into a bed, that's what I got to do. But we're doing things on budget, and I'm going to talk about that in these travel vlogs and everything else. I'm going to try to start at least producing a video at least every other day, if not every day. I just want to keep on continuing to build it up and get the content out there, because if there's one thing I can do, I can talk a lot. So as you see, as I'm driving down the streets, I'm talking for 15, 20, 30 minutes. Heck, I'm cutting it off short. Sometimes when I could talk for an hour at a time, 2 hours at a time. I mean, let's have fun with it. But, I want to keep y'all informed on what it takes. I spent $180. I've already, had to, it's costing me $50, $60 every time I fuel up. What does it, a lot of people want to know, what does it take to become a professional fisherman? And, to fish the events is $30,000. That's a lot of money. It's $5,000 per event. However, I feel that the payouts are pretty good. You're fishing every event for $500,000 in cash prizes. I think it's $50,000 for first, but they pay the top 40 spots. If I'm not mistaken, if you get 40th, it's still more than your buy-in. So if I finish 41st or below, I don't eat, basically, if that's what you want to say. And between the help of my wife and my mom, I've packed, I'm packing my bread. I've got my peanut butter. I've got crackers, and I'm trying to eat healthy, and that's another thing too, is being healthy. This past week, I think I've lost about 11 or 12 pounds. Not starving myself, but being, just trying to be healthy. But, it costs. I mean, every time, because I don't have a cooler, I'm completely full. Everything in this big Suburban's I'm full, because you got to have oil. I don't have the new 4-stroke, and and then I've got, cords and shoes and clothes and just there's so much stuff that it takes, and I can't imagine, because when you look at these pros that's been doing it for a while, who's got this unlimited supply of fishing tackle and fishing gear, I can't imagine when their boats have, my boat's a little older and they don't have the storage that theirs has, but I mean, they just have so much stuff compared to me, and for them to do it, what it takes to get prepared. I mean, whenever I had a lot of stuff, we had a lot of stuff packed up, and I had it in my truck, and we went there today. It took 2 hours, and you're putting stuff together like a puzzle. And so, that's one good thing I can say about my wife. She likes to organize, and she's a lot better at it than I am. And so, we're getting all this stuff organized and packed in perfect, so it all fits perfect. And we're trying to integrate this box to this box, and just try to get everything perfectly organized. And, then I got cameras and to be filming on the boat, and I've not been good at that, so I have to get all that together, film on the boat, and then I've got computers and tablets, and I mean it's just packed to the gills, and I still don't have the stuff that these guys that's been at it for a long time has. I'm lacking in that area. It will come eventually in time, and I'm learning more, and I watch a lot of YouTube, and I watch these guys and what it takes. So that's why I'm saying we're doing everything on a budget. Now, not everybody has, $30,000 that they can do this. Well, it takes more than 30 because I got a car payment, I got an insurance payment. Thank God my boat's paid off. I can't afford to go out and buy a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 boat. I mean, I really was wanting to buy at least a 19, 20, or 21 foot aluminum boat, because I like to fish shallow. But do I take and go get that financed and have a payment, and this is my livelihood? No, I'm going to use what I got, and I'm going to make it work until I'm blessed and the doors open, and I get another boat, a newer boat, or aluminum boat. I'll just make it work with what I got. So that's a cost that helps out a lot. But there's a lot of guys out there that don't have the boat sponsors, or there's programs out there, and you see a lot of these guys, and you'll see them, and they'll have Ranger or the Skeeter, and they have these programs for these guys, where they will give them a boat at a big discount. Well, as much as everybody, I mean, I'm going to be on the road for at least, on this trip here, 14, 15, 16, I don't know how many days. I'm going to be gone over 2 weeks, and almost every day of that, I'm going to be on the water. So that is putting a lot of wear and tear and hours on my boat and on my motor. Well, my boat's got a lot of wear and tear, but that motor is a 2018, got less than 100 hours. But when I'm done with this season, it's probably going to have 200 or 300 hours, because I have to fish every single day. And so it's going to take it's going to take a lot of time on the water, and I'm going to I would love to have a brand new 4-stroke and everything else. But anyways, back to what I was talking about is the expenses of this. We're trying to get a decent hotel, but you got to get something that's not too expensive but decent. You don't want to go there where they got bed bugs and everything else. So this is fun. I'm going through the Nashville, where they're doing road work plus the traffic in Nashville. Yeah, this is really fun. But anyways, so you got your hotel, a gas for the boat, because the first day or so that you're there, you're grafting, and so you're going, and you got your side imaging, your down imaging, and you're looking at everything, trying to find, and then you get on the trolling motor with everything that you got. Anyways, so it does take quite a bit of money, but if I don't go pre-fish these things, I got to outwork my competitors, because let me tell you something, there's some sticks out there. There's guys that's been doing this for a long time, and they can go to about any lake, and I'm sure most of the guys that's in my field has been down here or going to come down here. But I got to get down here, and I got to fish every single day. I got to fish. Anybody can go to their home lake. Anybody can go to where they're from, and you're going to catch fish because you fished it for years. I have to get down to these lakes I've never seen. That's why I like fishing Florida, because it's so hard. It can be feast or famine. That's like fishing Chickamauga. You can go down there and catch some good ones, or there's been a lot of people zero. That's one reason why Jacob Wheeler said he moved to Chickamauga Lake, because it is so hard to fish. So that's why we're going down here, and I'm staying gone for so long. It ain't like I've got a big budget and a lot of money. We're doing it on a budget, and packing our food, doing everything we can to save $1. And, we've downsized where we live, and to make everything more reasonable that we can afford things. Plus you got the tackle. I sold a couple reels this week, some rods, and I had to replace them because I got, the FX rods, but I had to replace a couple of reels because they get old. And, that's expensive. Then you just start, these lures, some of these lures I would like to have. And I'm like, my goodness, you get you get some kind of crankbait, $21. Well, it's always nice to have two or three of the same thing in case you lose one. Well, you think about it, 3 of those, you're at $70, $60, whatever the case may be after tax and everything. That's a whole lot of money right there. And then your plastics and you got to get the stuff for where you fish at. Just to replenish of it. So, it's not cheap to do this, but I will tell you this. Don't be the guy that sits there and talks about what you could do. Why don't you do something? Because every place has got these. If you're that good that you can talk smack about everybody and how they fish, and it's amazing. There's so many haters out there. And Jacob Wheeler, I've met him, and I don't know him great, but I do know him. I fished against him in some tournaments down on Chickamauga. One of the nicest men out there. But there's so many people hating on him because he knows the rules. Here's what one of the differences with Jacob Wheeler and everybody else. This dude knows every rule there is. He knows it. And whenever he was fishing in that Toyota event, and he's fishing on Del Hollow, he did something, and somebody's calling him out on it. If you get and I actually talked to some other fishermen, you get the skinny on who the woman is. I'm not going to say her name or what it's about. She's just a troublemaker. And, how are you going to call him out and say that Jacob Wheeler cheats? First of all he knows the rules and he's not going to cheat. This is his life. He's one of the top fishermen in the world. He's a role model. People just, he takes time to shake hands, sign autographs, smiles all the time. You look him up on YouTube and see how much the man smiles. And when you meet him and you've talked to him multiple times, he's the same way. He don't change. And it's going to, I can't imagine what people is already going to be saying. They're always talking about somebody and, I've had people already, well, why would you do this? Why wouldn't I? God opened up the door. This ain't, and I believe that. God opened up a door for me that I could do something, that I could get out here. And the people that has messaged me already and says I'm an inspiration. I'm only an inspiration because God put me here for that reason. Because I asked him, just like it says in Matthew 7:7, I asked him for this, and I prayed for this, and he opened up the doors. And a lot of people says, well, all the stars aligned. Well, whatever the case may be, I ain't never seen those stars go back to back like they're in a food line. Really? Ain't no stars aligned. So are you calling God a star? He's a superstar. But, man, I could rant, but throughout this travel vlog, like I did a thing on them reels, if I sold a bunch of the rods and that reel, and that's why I bought that new Concept Z slide, $275. Not everybody can go afford that. I already had the rod and reels. I sold it, so I was just like, hey, I want this. I've already got the rods. Let's buy it. And then I bought that new Shimano. That's $175. If you buy anything halfway decent, you're $150 for a new reel. It does cost a lot to do this, but let me tell you something. If this is your goal, if this is what you want to do, it'll open up. It'll do it. You know. I mean, here's the deal. When I first started out, I went and bought a big sporting goods. I don't know if we can call it an outdoor company's brand. I don't want to say it with a chance of getting in trouble or anything, because I don't know all the rules or anything. But I bought their brand, very famous across the United States, the largest there is. So, but I bought their brand. It was good for what I was doing. But, you know, when you're spending $49.99 on a reel that's just, you know, halfway decent, but you want to go out there, even if it's on your local side, your local divisions, your local, everything you do locally. I mean, if you can afford to go buy a reel for $49.99, why don't you save up a little bit and go buy the one for $99.99, where it's not going to tear up on you, where you can get more than 1 year out of it, because them reels, and I had a bunch of them, they were great for 1 year, possibly 2, depending on how much you use them, and then they start wearing that on you. So if you're doing this on a budget, then I'm sorry, I paused for a minute because I wear nothing but Under Armour shoes, and we just passed this big Under Armour warehouse or something where I don't know what they do. I want to go in there and see if I can visit them, see how many size 13 shoes I can get. Give me 5 minutes in there, that's all I need. Direct me to where the size 13s are. Anyways, save up a little bit. Get something that you can invest in, because if you're doing it, you know, and you're taking your kids out, that's another thing before I get off here. Guys, take your kids fishing. Get on the bank. Spend some time with them. You know what? Someone quoted this on my page. Less Xboxes, more tackle boxes. Guys, I'm telling you, take your kids, bond with them. That's such a bonding time. My cousin, he's got 2 twin boys, and a lot of times I'll put one on my boat, he'll put one on his boat, and that's the time we get to bond, and we laugh and we joke. And man, these kids, they don't play Xbox. These kids are 14 years old, and let me tell you something. I've never seen anything like it. They'll get out there and their dad's building a deck. They'll build most of it at 14 years old. They got to put windows in. They help their daddy, and they try to do most of it. Whatever they do, that's because they don't play Xbox. And the privileged time is, the fun time is when he takes them, or him and I take them fishing. That's your fun and privileged time. You know, and they enjoy it. They take it, and we have a little thing, and we're all competitive with each other, but it's fun. And these kids are not like any other kids. You know, I got a friend of mine, his name's Danny. He's got a son, Daniel, and everybody calls him D3. And let me tell you something, man, this kid, 15, 16 years old, he can wire up all the electronics on a boat professionally. He can fish good. Man, I don't see this kid sitting around playing Xbox or PlayStation. Man, I see this kid in here, and I'm with his daddy. His daddy fishes, and he's like, Daniel, you know, we need to do this. Daniel, we need to... And Daniel's doing it because he has, you know, he's in there, he's working, he's getting taught things because, I mean, let's face it, what are we teaching our kids by them sitting around playing PlayStation or Xboxes all day? Don't knock, I'm not knocking them. I mean, I've had them, but they're not my life. The problem is, in today's society, it's the kids' life. You know, a lot of the kids, that's all they do. They don't get out. And they don't get out and play. They don't get out and get dirty. They don't get out, you know, in the neighborhoods. Man, whenever I was growing up, and you know this for the older people, man, we played neighborhood tag and hide and go seek without the whole neighborhood. And I mean, we just had a good time. So look, man, take your kids fishing. It's just so important. I'm so excited. You know, I got a few kids that started following me, and my little buddy Drew, you know, him and I talk. And this kid's 13 years old, and he's out fishing. And that's what you get. That's what it's got to be, because, you know, how many people in there? And granted, there's people out there who are making money playing video games. I get it. Yeah, but how many of us are on that level? You know, but there's so many opportunities right now for kids to get scholarships, and you don't even have to have a boat. You know, if you want to be on a fishing team in your high school, there's usually somebody's rich daddy, and good for them. And if your daddy's got a boat, then good for you. Get out there and enjoy fishing. You know, start studying. These kids can retain so much compared to what we was. You know, they retain a lot of information. We didn't have YouTube and everything else whenever I was a kid, and they can watch, and they see the surroundings, and they pick it up so fast. So, man, take your kids fishing, get them into it, and there's a possibility that they can go to college to fish. And I know college is not for everyone, you know, but there's a lot of kids that it is, and, you know, get them out there, take them fishing. But I've been on here for about 36 minutes or so. I'm going to get off here right now. I'll be posting more videos. I'm going to try to post one at least every other day, if not every day. Do me a favor out there, guys. Like, share, subscribe. I would like to get, if I get up to 1,000 subscribers, then YouTube will start putting my content out there to, like, suggested videos and things like that. Man, that would be really nice. Also, please read Matthew chapter 7, verse 7. I don't care what version you read. Read that. And if you want to, leave a comment. Love everybody out there. Praying for everybody. Pray for me as I do a lot of traveling. I got about 700 miles on this first leg, and I don't know how far it is to the next one, but guys, take your kids fishing. Have a good one.